Now, welcome to the award-winning program, Voices of Experience, with your hosts, Chuck Gallagher and Meredith Oliver. And now, here's Chuck.
This is Chuck Gallagher with VOE, and wow, I am jazzed to be interviewing Dan Thurman, President.
What's up, my brother?
Oh, it is awesome. You know, I'm hearing the song, dun, 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 dun.
Well, you know, we're just a couple days away from the big moment, but
Hey.
I am so elated and poised and positioned for, for something exciting, and I'm confident because of all the resources we have at NSA and our tremendous staff, our passionate members. And it's going to be a very exciting year.
So Dan, you're in the unique position of moving through the ranks, being poised to come in as president of NSA for 18-19, but also to have a big transition that you might not have anticipated when this was first coming about, because we have a new chief executive officer for NSA.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the direction that NSA members can expect and the exciting things that are coming down the pike.
I would love to, but before I do,
Okay.
I want to thank you. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for serving. Thank you for all your tremendous work. I mean, we're early on in the VOE series, but you have already put in so many hours, and I know what this means to you. I would just want to, ask you, since we're here on record, why did you say yes? And what does this assignment mean to you, Chuck?
The answer is simple to me. If you're going to get involved in an organization, get involved. And the more you get involved, the deeper your understanding goes and the more your business grows. So when I got involved with NSA North Texas back in 2006, 2007, it was like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to immerse myself in it. And so everywhere I've been, whether it's North Texas chapter, the Carolinas chapter, or at the national level, to the extent that someone says, can you do X, the answer should always be yes. Because
if you have the capacity, if you have the skill set.
If you have the capacity and the skill set, absolutely. And if you don't, give where you can grow and what you can do.
Exactly. And that philosophy is so abundant here in NSA.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted you to articulate it because that's exactly the reason why I got into service. So when you say this is catching us by, something we didn't expect, I've been on the board now for 6 years, and I've been in that conversation about NSA and where we're headed. And so we've seen the development and the growth that's brought us to this moment, but you're absolutely right. We are poised with a new CEO in Mary Lou Peck, with the new culture that she's developing internally, which is part of our Transform brand, in terms of how our staff view their jobs and how their capabilities are growing to give us new opportunities than we've ever had before, which means that while we can engage members like you and I to do really important jobs, we have an opportunity. We don't depend on them as much for the details. We can glean their greatest strengths without requiring them to execute as much as we have in the past.
Sure.
Now that's going to help us to truly educate and elevate and move into the future in a way that is really profound.
So Dan, a lot of people would say the speaking business has changed. Where do you see that going?
Well, the market has grown. The number of different ways we can use the spoken word to engage audiences and to really affect worldwide change. I mean, let's face it, that's what we do. And NSA is about helping those who are passionate and have great wisdom or ideas or encouragement to share with others, to do that even better and to do it more profitably. That's what it is. And so there's more ways to do that. The markets have grown, and so there are more opportunities. There's also more competition, and that gives us each a chance to sort of figure out where we fit in. And the keynote market is still alive and well. I mean, that's where I live. That's where most of my business comes in through that channel, and that's what I've really worked very hard to hone over my 24 years in this industry and in this association. NSA has helped me do that, and NSA continues to help individuals every single day become masterful keynoters. But there's so much more, whether you want to train in depth in content, whether you work in a specific sector, or you're an author looking to elevate your abilities to speak and to leverage those opportunities into deeper contracts and bigger bookings or better connections. And I think what unites us all is that it's about elevating our brand, elevating our lives, and growing personally, but also to help others grow in a positive way. And that's so important, Chuck. I mean, because it's what our world really needs right now. Our world is hurting, and that's why NSA feels so comfortable for those of us who are in this alignment of improvement, because we find our family and we find the tools to help us make a change.
We can really expand our brand and take the message in so many places. And I think that's one of the things that I'm seeing with NSA, that if you want to expand and you want to get bigger, there's a world to be within which to do that.
It really is almost limitless. So if we were to presume, as the NSA leaders, to define what speaking is, we could never do that, because we can't anticipate what it will become. Just like any other industry, we can lead and we can get down to the core essence and say, what is it about what we do that is so essential and so important to our members? Because that's our job, is to serve our members and help them be successful. But the industry and the transformations that will happen 5 years from now, we cannot anticipate.
Sure.
And so what we need to do is be able to prepare and be in an environment where we're having community conversations about what we see and what we're learning and what we share. What I've learned about NSA is being in the company of men and women who have skills that I do not, have perspective that I do not, have wisdom that I do not, and they go into environments and use the spoken word in ways that I don't do yet. That enables me to sort of absorb some of that ability in my own character. And so when those opportunities present themselves, I can step into those moments with more confidence and with the knowledge that I can go and find those resources when I need them.
Perfect. Dan, you've been speaking for 24 years?
That's true.
Yes?
24 years ago, I made the leap from being an entertainer to being a speaker.
Okay.
And went full in, because that's what I felt in my heart of hearts was my calling. And I'd been exposed to a lot of great personal development and speakers on tape, and I loved the Nightingale Conan series, and listened to Zig and Les Brown and Brian Tracy and Wayne Dyer and so many others who just spoke into my heart and changed my life, truly. And so I began to think about how I could transform my speaking or my performance opportunities from being a show that just made people feel better to being deeper and to being substantive in a way. And over time, that, almost actually immediately, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then through NSA, I developed the understanding to be able to do it extremely well with greater knowledge and depth to really develop a body of content and enable and then step confidently into situations where I could market, sell, and have success professionally. It was really exciting and continues to be, because I learn every day.
From a marketing perspective, how does Dan Thurman market himself?
Well, I do quite a bit, actually, and that has changed as well. It used to be that really all you had to do was to do great work, to focus on being at the highest possible level, and to leverage the power that you have on a platform into the next new opportunity. I will tell you, Chuck, that's still how I get most of my business. People who see me, who have heard me, who refer me, want to hire me again, because what I do is unique and valuable and relevant. And I work really hard to make my content resonate with my audiences, not just organizationally. We work hard to understand what our clients' needs are and business objectives and help them move the needle. But my intention is also to speak into the hearts of my audience and their minds, and to address their personal challenges, so it resonates in a different way. Now, beyond that, which is essential, because if you don't have something of value that resonates with people,
right,
you're not going to get very far in this business. So that is job one, and job always is to continue to work on getting better. And there's no limit to how good you can be. But now what we do is quite a lot more. I do weekly videos. You've probably seen my weekly videos, which are content-based, a depth of content. We have a social media strategy. We were always working on website. Video is huge for me, because what I do is so intentional. It's not just about one demo video. It's about multiple different versions of different ideas or things that resonate. I even have like a behind the scenes video of how I prepare for an event. And it's more like we've got into this realm where one video isn't enough anymore. You have to have this sort of portfolio for people to really go deeper, because that's what we do. Not in lengthy videos, but in shorter videos.
Sure.
And so it's always changing, always evolving, but the investments you make in marketing today really are realized often 6 months, a year, a couple of years in the future. So we always need to be thinking about how do we stay ahead of that curve.
Related to that, do you do direct outbound marketing?
No, we don't. What we do is direct marketing backwards to the clients I've had in the past.
Okay.
There are some things we're beginning to do relative to adjacent business. These are clients we've not yet talked to.
Right.
I have a team that helps me with that, and so that's wonderful to be able to have that additional capacity within my business, above and beyond just what I can do on my own.
Sure.
But we all start from that place where it's just us, and really, in this market, in this day and age, you are enough. You can leverage the tools that we have with regard to technology and your own creativity and thought and plans. The problem is you can't do it all. If you try to do everything, you'll do nothing very well. So when it comes to marketing, it's about figuring out what really works for you and then going all in that endeavor and sticking with it long enough that you begin to feel that traction. Because if you don't, then you'll be trying a number of different things, none of which really help.
I look at you and I see this guy that I would say, 37, 38, but I think you had a birthday not long ago, which moved you into a new decade. Is that right?
That's right. I just turned 50.
Right. So that's what I thought I saw. And so here's the question, which I actually do think is relevant, and that is, what do speakers need to do? This probably sounds stupid, but what do we need to do to stay fit?
No, it's not. It's a very smart question, really, because when we think about it, speaking is one of those professions where you simply cannot call in sick. We make a commitment to be at an event at a specific time for our clients on that day, often 6 months from now. And if we can't follow through on that, then it's not going to bode well for our business or for our reputation. So I would say, of course, the big areas we focus on are mind, body, spirit. It's like, are you doing the things that keep you stress-free in your life, creating that time to reflect, to meditate, taking care of yourself, and really mitigating the stresses that make us toxic. It is about nutrition. It is, eating, and as we get older, we get more specific about that because we realize how, it changes for us. And so, when I think about nutrition, again, I think you could go all in and say, I'm going to reinvent my diet. I'm going to go with a completely new diet. And for some people, that's very successful. I find what works better for me is making the better choice. So when I'm feeling a desire, or when I'm looking at a menu and I have multiple options, instead of saying, well, what is the best thing for me to do in this situation, you could often just say, what's the better thing for me to do? And then you make the better choice, right? And then when that happens over time, there's an even better choice, and you kind of started to make that one. Pretty soon you start to feel the results of better nutrition. Exercise is hugely important. Again, you don't have to go all in and transform yourself, but just some movement, some activity, a commitment to physical fitness is vital. And you know what, the thing to understand is when we can stand on stage and embody health for our audiences, it's not just about teaching health principles, it's about the congruence in the universal principles that we teach in general, because now we embody someone who represents mastery, self-mastery, right? And so that's why I think health, fitness, self-care are really important. I did an interview recently with Dariush Kashani, who is on Broadway now in the Tony Award-winning play, The Band's Visit, that cleaned up at the Tonys last year. And I interviewed Dariush, and I asked him about his journey, and he had long spells in his career where he was without work, where he just didn't have opportunities. As an actor, it's really hard to break in, especially at the level that he's at right now.
Sure.
And I asked him, well, what did you do? And he said, well, those periods where I wasn't working, I took care of myself. I focused on me, getting my diet right, getting fit, getting learning to meditate, doing yoga, things for him that put him in that space, because he said when those opportunities did present themselves, I didn't want there to be a lot of internal noise. Right?
Oh, wow.
So interesting, because that means for
Absolutely.
us, we can relate to that. Job one is taking care of you so that you can step into those moments and opportunities as they present themselves, being all of you without that extra baggage.
Now, you said I interviewed him, and so tell me a little bit about what you do when you're interviewing people and how you get the interviews.
Well, that was actually a connection through an NSA member,
Okay.
Theo Andros, who actually went to high school with Dariush. It was during a trip my family and I made to New York City, and Theo had said, hey, you should go see this show. He told me about the show. I wasn't even aware of it, but also facilitated that connection. And so afterward, we got to go into his dressing room and have a conversation with my family. It was wonderful. And that interview is actually on my website. It's part of my vlog series, so my weekly series. I don't do a lot of interviews, Chuck. I'm certainly not as adept as you are. But what I find is just having that conversation and being able to go into some depth of insight in terms of, what makes someone tick is usually more interesting, like what's inside of them, rather than, strategy is important, but strategy is always motivated by philosophy and principles, which can help drive strategy in other areas. So even if their particular tactics don't work for me, their mindset can often be completely transferable.
So when you talk about mindset, you made the comment early on, you said, 24 years ago-ish, that you felt that maybe the speaking side was more significant or more important to you than just the entertainment side. So what was it that was driving you to want to offer that significance?
Well, I always had a desire to be in front of an audience and to perform.
Sure.
Actually, not always. That was something I had to work through with a lot of fear. But one of my early lessons was to get over that fear by thinking, my mentor at the time actually said, Dan, don't worry about it. Because every time you do a show, you do 3 shows. There's the one you plan, there's the one you do, and there's the one you should have done that you think about later.
Okay.
In other words, get over yourself.
Right.
And that's true in speaking, it's true in management, it's true in anything in life, even conversations with your spouse or kids. There's the way you think it's going to go, then what happens, and then what you should have done, right? But that's the learning process. And so when you're engaged in that process, you're always looking for the next opportunity. So when I stepped into the space where I began to experiment with putting a message into my performance. I was a variety entertainer, acrobat, juggler, unicyclist, and I had honed a one-man show from the time I was early teenager, 13, 14 years old. That's how I paid for college. And I got this marketing degree at the University of Georgia, all the while consuming personal development stuff on tapes.
Sure.
I got Brian Tracy's Insight series, which is every month you heard from a lot of different speakers, including many NSA members.
Absolutely.
So I started to incorporate this message, but almost immediately felt like, wow, this is what I want to do. And I began to realize how much my audiences needed that. And so that gave me the confidence to own more of my own personal message and write more deeply and write more broadly and step into those moments that are not just about entertainment. But from the beginning, and my programs still incorporate unique elements.
Absolutely.
In acrobatics.
Sure.
But right from the beginning, when I made that shift, the decision and the rule that I wrote for myself was nothing is in my speech that does not in some way support and further my message. So there's nothing in my speech that's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. If it doesn't drive that story and further that progression of thought,
Right.
I take it out. And so over time, the programs have developed a lot more content. Now, the current shift that's happening for me is going from this keynote space to really more personal coaching, in-depth conversations, the workshops that help my audiences apply the principles of my keynote into their lives and businesses in a deeper way. And now, Chuck, that's where I find that's my pure joy, is not just to be the guy at the front of the room, but to be the person who's genuinely invested in someone's life, because then you really see the impact that you're making.
Dan, I want to ask a couple of other semi-unrelated questions. The other day I was talking with a couple of people in NSA who had been around for a good while, and one of whom elected not to renew his membership. And the comment he made was, he says, you know, it's just changed, and I don't know what's there for me. So as the president for 1819, what would you say to a person who has years of experience, may even be in the Hall of Fame, but says, what for me now?
Well, in 2 words, I would say, keep watching. Because as we have the conversation about personal capacity, and if we try to market in everything at once, or try to run every aspect of our business, or implement everything we know, we're not going to do anything especially well. You know, NSA has really fallen into that line of thinking in certain ways throughout the years. We have great intentions. We have amazing volunteers. We have a desire to serve in a number of different ways, and we have, quite frankly, overwhelmed the capacity because you can't do it all. So we're in the process right now of really getting back to what we do best, which is helping our members, the leading speakers in the world, to do what they do at the highest levels professionally and profitably, to be able to succeed and to grow while they're uplifting others and serving the world, right? That's
right.
What we want to do. So when we focus on that, now the attention shifting to, well, what is the way we can change that member value equation in a way where it becomes just absolutely an easy decision to join NSA? Because, you know, it would be far more expensive not to be a member than it is to be a member.
Right.
And that's where we're going. We're going to be delivering so much value over the next couple of years that you're going to be more excited. And I think the best days of NSA are still to come.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and especially seeing the leadership in all facets and the things that are taking place. Even this, this is not to pat myself on the back, but even this VOE session, yes, we have the VOE on podcast, and for those who are listening on podcast, I hope you're enjoying it. Yes. But we also have the full interview with you here on video. Yeah. So it can reside if people want to go deeper. So there's a lot that comes to the table that can be unique with NSA, and technologically, we're able to bring a lot of things that used not to exist.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that again. I'm so grateful to you, and really to all of the volunteers who step up to that role. That's unusual. In a professional organization, that men and women who are passionate about their businesses and are involved in the work of being successful as entrepreneurs, take that amount of time to dedicate to something else for the service of the organization and members. But you know what? It's unusual in the world, but it's absolutely essential and part of our NSA story.
Right.
From the very beginning, the men and women who built this association were givers, you know, and that's the spirit of Cabot. We talk about the generosity, the kindness, the abundance mentality, the idea that it's impossible to give more than you receive. Those are fundamentally interwoven in the culture of NSA, and that's what can't ever change.
So Dan, let me ask you one last thing. I'm going to put you on the spot, but with where we are, if there is a specific message that you would like to deliver, feel free to do that.
I would say thank you. I would say thank you for being an NSA member. We need your support. We need your participation. We need you to be engaged. Look for opportunities as the model shifts and changes to help us implement our 3-year strategy. We are transforming as a culture. We're transforming our staff, our leadership, our strategy, our vision on what we can become, and our perspective of what NSA can offer the world. Now that enables us to move to the next level, which is to educate, right? To educate our members about where we're going, to continue to provide education at even higher levels and experiences that we can attend and enjoy. We then want to engage at a much deeper level with the volunteers and the talents that our volunteers can deliver, and provide better mechanisms for them to contribute in a way that syncs and coordinates and supports the whole mission. But also not just to engage our members, which frankly we're pretty darn good at, but to engage those in our speaking profession who are outside of NSA, who need to know what a tremendous resource and value we offer.
Sure.
We really believe we can and will expand the reach of our organization, the brand of NSA, and the attendance to our events. And we think that shift is going to happen in a remarkable way by this time next year at Influence 2019 in Denver, Colorado. And when we can do all of that, we all elevate to the next level, because being a part of NSA is now a brand of privilege, and it is an opportunity for you to grow and an opportunity for our association to elevate as well. So your role in that is to stay involved. Get involved in your chapters, to get involved with each other, to be a part of the community, and through your own personal contribution, embody that spirit of NSA, the spirit of Cavett Robert, our founder, that helps others to feel the abundance that we share, and to tell your story, but also to tell NSA's story.
Dan, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I so look forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity to serve.
You got it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chuck.